Hi and welcome. This is a podcast called Bridging Barriers, and we are so glad that you joined us today. So, this podcast is where we create a real conversation with people, and they're conversations that matter, especially for parents, for caregivers, and service providers supporting individuals with adaptive needs. So, that's who we want to focus on, and that's who we're talking to. So, I'm your host, Sue Janzen, and today I'm thrilled to bring you a conversation that will both challenge and inspire you. My guest today is the incredible Zachary Weeks. He's a compassionate advocate, he's a consultant, and a leader in the field of accessibility and inclusion. So, Zachary is not only a tireless champion for disability rights, but he's also someone who truly understands and he's lived the experience of navigating a world full of barriers and breaking through them with determination, heart, and insight, and just a really great sense of humor as well. So, from policy to personal empowerment, Zachary brings a unique and powerful voice to this space. I'm so proud to have him on today. And his work across various sectors, including government and community outreach, is making real change happen. And he's going to share that with you today. And he's not just in systems, but in people's lives. So, he reminds us that inclusion isn't just a buzzword, it's a commitment to action. So, whether you're a parent raising a child with adaptive needs, a service provider seeking perspective, or we can all do better. And this episode is for you. So grab a coffee and take a breath and get ready because I'm going to have a great conversation with my guest, Zachary Weeks. And we know each other because we're from the same area in Edmonton, Alberta. And it's just so nice. Zachary, welcome, welcome. So good to have you back.
Thanks so much, Sue. It's an honor to be here, and how exciting is this to be a fresh face on bridging barriers? And yeah, I can't wait to jump into today's conversation.
Thank you so much for being here. So, like I said, like you are a champion and an advisor and advocate for all the things, accessibility and inclusion. And so, just tell the audience a little bit more about you and what you're up to right now, and just so we can get to know you just a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. So, you sort of alluded to it earlier, but I do have a physical disability that is cerebral palsy. That came about as a result of complications through birth, wherein I wasn't getting enough oxygen during the birthing process, which left me with CP and using a power wheelchair throughout the majority of my life. Obviously, along with that journey comes lived experience of what it's like growing up with a disability and, um, you know, navigating systems that aren't worth or aren't built for you, whether it's physically or through programming. And so I'm really hopeful that what we talk about today helps parents and caregivers and people with disabilities to learn how to thrive in their environment wherever they are.
Hmm. Oh, exactly. It's so good, and it's so good to just have you here too, because we want to make sure that the parents know that there are things out there, and it is getting better, but with loud voices, people like you who are advocates for making sure that people are getting those things that they need, the support, especially,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I
So tell.
mean, when I was growing up, sorry, when I was growing up, there was no Facebook or Snapchat or anything like that. So that was a large part of my journey, wherein I I didn't have peers that I could lean on for support or even relate to, for that matter. And so on top of that, I can only imagine how difficult it was for my mom and dad to navigate, you know, raising a kid with a disability when, I was born in the late 80s. So, the internet was just coming around. all they had to rely on was, you know, physicians' medical opinions
Mm-hmm.
of what, a book told them to say. Not that they weren't smart and talented in their own right, because I know that I was blessed to have Dr. Watt back in the day, and he was a world renowned specialist. But at the crux of it, that's only scratching the surface, right? So, how do you live day in, day out after that medical appointment? That is usually probably not the best news, or maybe it's an upcoming surgery, or your child is lacking in this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go to next? So, my mom didn't really have a support system to help her navigate other than, meeting other parents while waiting hours for a specialist to see you for 15 or 20 minutes and then sort of boot you out the door. So I'm excited about what you and your group are doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks so much. So Zachary, did you go to, like, I was a special ed teacher for a while, and but I didn't. I think I was teaching in a secondary special ed from '98 to 2003. So I'm just curious, you were out of the system by then, I think, though, right? But
Uh, yeah, so I wasn't out of the system. I graduated in 2006, so it's getting farther and farther away now. But um, I was blessed to, and this is what really sort of set the ball rolling, I guess, is how my mom treated me growing up, and that was no different than any other kid,
Hmm.
albeit, she knew how far to push me, and she knew when I was being a little shit and trying to get out of things, and said, no, you need to do your physio, you need to do this, don't try and pull that. So I was very blessed to be, disabled uh, from the neck down, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um, yeah, she made sure to reinforce that, yeah, your legs don't work, but your brain does. So um, you really don't have any excuse to go out and live your life and change the world. But that's just one journey.
Yeah.
So
That is so good that she did that and that she challenged you. And that's, we found that too. And as you know, my daughter Candace is going to be co-hosting with me on this podcast, and
mhm.
she and I have the website that we're hoping people will go to, where we can find a lot of information. She's trying to establish a hub of information for parents and caregivers. But I'm so glad that your mom challenged you to get, because like, you're a great guy. You can do so many things, and you are not who your disability that we can see. You're
Mhm.
so much more than that, and so she knew that.
Yeah, and I have the most admiration and respect for parents nowadays, because it's a messy world out there right now. You have, at least where we live, we have a government that seems to not want to support anyone, let alone people with disabilities. Through different policies or clawbacks of funding. They're just they're not. It's a messy time right now, and so trying to find those supports are getting harder and harder, because those frontline supports are being taken away, as they often rely on,
Hmm.
government funding or that sort of thing. So I really encourage parents to leverage social media
Mm-hmm.
and keep the knowledge in the rooms, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook groups or whatever your preferred platform is.
Mm.
And if there isn't one, then create one.
Yeah.
And as the old saying goes, if you build it, they will come. So um, no amount of education or doctorate can teach you what life teaches you. So
Mm-hmm.
respect the doctors, but take it with a grain of salt that
Mm-hmm.
the glass is half full and not half empty,
Mm-hmm.
and you just gotta find your tribe, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's so true, so true. And the advocacy is so important. And there are, even when I was a special ed teacher, there was not, um, I guess, the publicity about, the certain adaptive needs that need to be at least acknowledged. And they're, just I'm just trying to think physically, just, handicap ramps and things just to get around physically in the world. Those things weren't even made. There wasn't a lot of that going out there. I remember way back in the 60s, no, it was actually in the 80s where Percy Wickman was in a wheelchair and he was a city council. And now his son is an architect who deals specifically with accessibility
Hmm.
and visitability and those kind of things. So at least the good news, though, is that some people are speaking up and bringing it to people's attention and trying to get the needs met. Do you agree? I think, are we further than we were?
I think we're definitely further than we were, and it's all thanks to the people that you mentioned. Two of those individuals, both Percy and Ron, who's a good friend of mine. I wouldn't be where I am without their advocacy and their expertise. And so I think to that though, I think as a parent, you know your kid best, and never back down.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, uh,
Yeah.
who's to say, to come into your home and say this or that, or oh, you need to be doing this instead, right? Like that's great, but it and then it might not work. So then what? But
Yeah.
so to your point, I think parents need to keep carrying that torch of advocacy and
Mhm.
and and sharing their stories and the barriers that they've come up against and how they've jumped the hurdle, because we've all been there, and it doesn't matter how you jump the hurdle, it's how you jump the hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it's not. You know what I
I
mean? As long as you
do.
jump the hurdle, as long as you jump that damn hurdle, you're fine. It doesn't matter how you do it.
And the biggest thing that we're trying to provide on this podcast and at our website, Janzen Consulting Group, is that you're not alone and that we can do this together and we
Hmm.
can bring awareness is kind of the biggest thing that I have seen happening. And you're doing that right in our community, you alone, in some of the great, things that you're doing. What's the word, where the rallies and the gatherings of
Yeah.
people, with the same thoughts, so that's the biggest thing for me, especially, is just to say, like there's people that are out there that really do care and that you're not alone in this, so step up and come
Yeah.
join us.
Yeah. And I think, what I have learned in my lifetime, obviously on the child, coming from the child perspective, but what my mom has taught me, uh, over the years is build your network, because I think it would be fair to say one of her ultimate fears is what happens after I'm gone. How do I know that Zachary is going to be able to, get the support he deserves and knows how to get it, right? So,
Mm,
surrounding yourself by like-minded individuals that get it, that's priceless.
Mm. And it's so nice to know that they're there, you know?
Mm.
Don't you feel that that's a lot of the especially the parents who just come out of the hospital safe with a child that's just has adaptive needs, that they have to now change up their their future thoughts of this child. They have to change the way they're thinking, their plans. They have to make adjustments to accommodate, to take the best care of the child. And so just knowing that there are people out there who can help, I think that's so reassuring to them. And that just that's what we're trying to establish, right? Just saying there is a community, we're a tribe out here, and we hear you, and you're not alone.
Yeah, and I mean, I would, you know, venture to say that we are very welcoming.
Hmm.
We're a family because we only want the best for our children and or yeah, our children and their life, and so it's very easy to get on board with that and offer practical steps and knowledge, wisdom that you can't get out of a book somewhere necessarily. Um, but yeah, and I think having the internet and being able to compare where our country's at versus another country and what's working, that's a
Hmm.
game changer, right? To my
Hmm.
point earlier, I never or my mom never had that when
Yeah.
I was growing up. So
Yeah. No, this is so good. It's so good that you're such a speaker and that you know are willing to go out there and make a difference. So you're on to so many people. Is there anything coming for you in the near? Do you have any rallies coming up?
yeah, no, I mean,
Enters?
we're good for rallies right now. I just finished that one, and it was a historic day. Honestly, I don't say that lightly. Just seeing how the disability community was able to come together and rally around the recent clawbacks to some federal funding known as the Canada Disability Benefit. Just I'm just getting out there, attending a lot of different events, supporting where I can, sharing knowledge. There's some really cool. There's a new show out that I've been watching with my friend Daniel Annett, who is a quad. Uh, he's an amputee, and he had uh, meningitis growing up, and unfortunately, he lost
Hmm.
his limbs. But his new show is out called Crip Trip, and it highlights some of the very topics we're talking about, and that what happens when his mom, who predominantly takes care of him right now, uh, is no longer around, right? So how do we keep living and living our life to the fullest? So I've been watching that, and uh,
Oh,
hopefully gonna see a Stanley Cup win here for the Edmonton Oilers coming up soon.
well, that's a biggie on everybody's mind. I know that. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
We're hoping and we're yeah, doing but that yeah, I'll have to look up that show because that sounds really interesting. I you know what? I watched all the series on Push, which is another really was a great show about, people
Hmm.
coping with physical disabilities primarily, right? And we know so many of those people that were on the show personally, and it was really I enjoyed watching that. It was good. So now
Yeah,
I'll have to watch it.
no. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, for those that haven't seen Push, those are some of the people you want to get tapped into,
Yeah.
especially, my friend Bean Gill, who's founded Ryu Paralysis Recovery Center. It's a center that helps everyone achieve their best physical fitness,
Hmm.
and not just adults. So children are going there and making a heck of a ruckus in terms of what's going on with their new abilities, thanks to
Yeah.
their services. So
Oh, it's a wonderful resource center. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, our granddaughter Calais was there, and and she liked trying to do the walking things. Like she did a lot of that really cool stuff that they did. My granddaughter has cerebral palsy as well, but she has cortical vision impairment. So you kind of sometimes you have to really decipher what, if she could see, she could maybe do more things, but she does the very best that she can do, and she's really got a great sense of humor like you, and she's doing really well, but she loved going to those sessions there too. Yeah, we'll have to get Bean back on the
y-
show here.
yeah, and I mean, you touched on a really good um, point that maybe we should touch on before we end the show here. Not that I want to end it sooner
Sure.
than needed, but humor is it goes a long way in dealing with any sort of barriers you're facing. In this case, living with a disability. I myself have a little bit of a dark humor, but being able to laugh at yourself and make fun of the situation at hand, it has really provided a light in my life where
Good.
things were pretty shitty for
Yeah.
you're going through surgeries and doctor's appointments, and this is going wrong and that's going wrong. We need funding. How do we do this?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't qualify. You're a square peg in a round hole, right? So, um, it's yeah, it saved a lot of uh, grouchy nights just trying to
Hmm.
laugh at the situation, and
Yeah.
again, um, almost use it to your advantage, right? So,
Yeah, and it is like you said, it's just a really good choice to make, because if you can, some people are more gifted than others in doing that, but at least the people who are gifted, they're out there doing something so that it could enlighten others,
for
you
sure,
know.
for sure, and I mean, you need to allow space to have
Mhm.
your down moments as well and cry it out, and you know, I don't know what you do. Maybe it's throw books at the wall. I don't know, but um, you gotta. Part of the challenge of this whole journey is balancing the good and the bad. So hopefully, more good is coming out than
Mhm.
bad in any given situation. And one thing I've always been told is, it can always be worse. Um,
Yeah. But people like you are making it better, and Candace and I are doing this podcast to try to make it better, and to just shine a light on some really amazing people who are doing wonderful things, and in this world of adaptive needs. And so we want to thank you, Zachary. Thank you so much. I knew you're one of our first guests on the podcast, and that was for a deliberate reason, because we really wanted you to share with us. And thank you so much for being here today. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be here every week, and we're going to be having different shows, one on parent stories. We're going to have parent discussions and consultation kind of groups where we throw out a question, and the parents are going to come on and just discuss it and talk about it. And hopefully we'll be able to throw out on our website, if you go, you can put questions that you might have that we can tackle. And we're happy to do that. and we're just here to support and to thrive together with everybody. So don't forget, you're not alone, and we are here for you. And want to thank you so much, Zachary. You're awesome. Thank you so much for being here today, and everybody, thank you for joining us. So appreciate you. So take care. Okay, bye.